Cloud gaming is on the cusp of a resurgence. Long after the demise of OnLive and the not-so-amazing reception of Sony's PlayStation Now, it finally seems like platform holders are ready to put their cards on the table and carve out a path into what many believe will be the future of video games. Outside of the currently existing platforms such as GeForce Now, PlayStation Now, and Shadow, Microsoft are finally throwing their hats into the ring with xCloud, and Google are literally just weeks away from opening the doors with Stadia. Stadia being the closest to a full-on commercial release. Many questions and misconceptions still remain, and I'm hoping that by the end of this video you have at least a general idea of what the concept is. To understand what Google Stadia is, I should first give you a pretty rough description of what cloud gaming is. Most people will tell you that it's like Netflix, but instead of movies, you're streaming interactive video games. And while this is true, it's a very simple description of the concept. To break it down in a slightly more in-depth description, cloud gaming basically means that games are streamed to you from the internet. The cloud, in a technological sense, refers to a bunch of servers in a data center. These servers are running instances of video games on them, and you are then streamed a feed of those video games, similar to what Netflix does with movies, the difference being that you are playing it and not simply watching it. Google Stadia is exactly this. You are connected to a Stadia server in a Google-owned data center that is running an instance of the game you requested to play. Most cloud gaming services, barring Shadow, are essentially this. So what exactly about this makes Stadia different from the rest? The current run of cloud gaming services are aiming to be a supplement to gaming on local hardware. Take PlayStation Now, for example, a service that has been around since 2014 but never really gained any major traction, mostly due to the quality of service itself and the price until recently. While Sony pitches it to be a way to play PS3 and PS2 games on your PS4 or even your PC, they never advertise it as a replacement to your physical console. Thus, improvements to the service at large have been few and far between. Hell, they finally started to include PS4 games, and yet even those games still get pumped out at 720p, as opposed to the native 1080p that most of the games are designed at. So when comparing them side by side, cloud versus local, it's no contest. Then we look at something like GeForce Now, which personally I would also say is a supplement to physical hardware, as you need to already own the games on PC to even be able to stream them. And while the platform is currently in beta and free to use, rumors are circulating that the official release may impose a subscription fee to use. Shadow is another matter entirely, as it's not necessarily streaming games to you from a data center per se, but is instead streaming users a full-fledged high-end Windows 10 PC. Which sounds like a wonderful idea for those who can't afford a space-age PC, but the subscription fee definitely reflects that. Currently, at the least, you'll be paying $25 a month just for use, plus the fact that you still have to purchase any games or software you want to use on this PC. At that price, you'd probably be better off just saving up for your very own space-age PC. Then we look at Google Stadia in comparison. Google advertises it as its own platform in which you still have to purchase games to play them, however things take an interesting turn at this point. For those looking for a premium experience, aka 4K resolution at 60 FPS, then you're going to have to pay for the Pro subscription at $10 per month. This includes free games that they plan on giving out monthly, similar to that of Xbox Live Gold or PlayStation Plus. For those still running on 1080p screens and the like, the base model coming in 2020 will probably be the way to go. As there's no monthly fee, you just buy the games. To top it all off, Stadia isn't looking just to be another service option for people to play games over the cloud. It's trying to become its own video game platform to compete with the likes of Xbox, PlayStation, and Nintendo. And by that I mean that they are looking to include their own first-party games in the future. Games you can't get anywhere else but on Stadia itself. And while exclusives are a controversial topic in the industry, it cannot be denied that it creates discourse and gets everyone's attention. As it stands, Stadia will be launching for Founders on November 19th. Founders get a Chromecast Ultra, 3 months of Stadia Pro, and a Founders exclusive Night Blue Stadia controller. Honestly, the controller looks like a cross between a DualShock 4 and an Xbox 360 controller, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, as these were rated some of the best controllers ever made. The only way to play on the 19th is to buy the now sold out Founders Edition, or buy into the replacement, which is the Premier Edition. Everyone else not looking to buy into it will have to wait for the base model of Stadia launching sometime next year, or have a founder gift you what they are calling a Buddy Pass. As for the base model, there is no confirmed date just yet, as 2020 seems to be the rough time frame that they are giving us at the moment. This is their 1080p with stereo audio tier, where you simply buy the games you want to play and that's it. So what exactly does it take to use a service like this? What kind of internet do you need? What are the requirements as a whole? It's no mystery to anyone that to stream anything over the internet, you're going to need some form of reliable internet connection and speed. Especially those of you that have watched a YouTube video and got hit with the infamous buffering circle, and that's just for watching videos. So surely it requires something much faster and more robust, like fiber, to even think about trying gaming in the cloud. Well, no, far from it actually. Let's take a look at the actual requirements listed on the website. According to Google, they recommend a minimum of 10 megabits per second for 720p. Not a tall order for most households in America, granted you don't live in a rural area where the FCC basically sees you as a third world country, and you could probably get better speeds by attaching two cans and a string together. If you're looking to get higher resolution output like 1080p, then you're going to need at least a 20 megabit connection. And if you're shooting for 2160p, or 4K in simpler terms, you're going to need at least a 30 megabit connection. Considering a fiber internet connection in the best case scenario should give you about 1000 megabits per second or 1 gigabit per second, the idea that fiber is required simply falls apart. So say you meet these requirements and you're into the idea of giving this thing a shot. What games can you expect to play at launch? This is where things will be a bit contentious for some. At the time of this video, Google has confirmed a total of 12 games that will be available on launch day for founders. Games such as Red Dead Redemption 2, the Tomb Raider Reboot Trilogy, and Guilt, which is a Stadia exclusive to name a few. These titles run a gamut of genres from fighting games down to rhythm and dance games, which might be the best case to test out what latency is like for various titles on the platform. Fighting and rhythm games being the ones to pay the closest attention to. What has me curious though is the Tomb Raider Reboot Trilogy, which includes Tomb Raider Definitive Edition. What's particularly interesting about this that no one is paying attention to is that the definitive edition of this title was only released on consoles a la Xbox One and PS4. It was never patched into the PC version or released on PC in any way, shape, or form. While the launch day pickings are pretty slim, this does reveal a new door behind development of games for the platform. A game that goes from being console only to a platform with no console required at all, which leads me to my next question. Why cloud gaming? There are a number of reasons as to why cloud gaming exists, and perhaps even why it should exist, but the biggest reason that encompasses all of them together: innovation. According to Google, moving gaming to the cloud removes the incessant wait times of downloads, installs, and patches. Since everything is handled on their servers, the end user never has to worry about updating a game or waiting for it to download and install. Then there's the topic of processing power, a constant point that most cloud gaming platform holders make. The idea that because games are being run on thousands of connected servers, leveraging that power to create games will create worlds on a scale of which we've yet to see in video games. Lastly, there's portability and convenience. Being able to play your games on any device with a screen and internet connection. To play on your TV, then switch to your laptop, tablet, or even a phone to continue where you left off, and vice versa. Convenience is part of the reason why the Switch is so popular and why so many people buy games on it, even if they can buy those same games on other platforms. And finally, removing the need for dedicated hardware to play games. This is all being streamed to you over the internet, and any upgrades or advancements are handled through the backend via Google's data centers. If any of this sounds appealing to you, then Stadia might be something worth your time. If you're still sitting here wondering what the point of it is, then Stadia is definitely not for you. But hopefully this little primer has at least given you some insight into not only what Google Stadia is, but what cloud gaming actually is. And if I've managed to help you come to that understanding, then I've done my job well. And if you still have questions, this video is the first of a few. But that's going to do it for me for now. If you made it to the end of this video, first of all, thanks for watching and congrats. Secondly, if you found anything in this video helpful and informative, why not hit that like button and subscribe, as it helps the channel in more ways than you know. Also hit the bell icon for notifications the minute a new video lands. Social links such as Twitter and Discord you can find in the description. And as always, this is Corrupt Ronin telling you to stay sharp, assassins, and I'll see you next time.